Hello, I'm Kerry George with CIBN Connect. Today I'm going to be talking about one talk, one ask. We're going to be sharing about the signature talk and why is that important as a speaker? Why would you want one? How would you use it? How do you prepare for this? And more. So you're going to want to stay tuned as we are going to cover a lot on one talk, one ask. Hello, I'm Kerry George with CIBN Connect, and today I'm talking about the signature talk, the one talk with one ask. Why do you want one? Well, you know what? It saves a lot of time. Many people are busy. You're busy in your business. You may be an entrepreneur or a coach or a speaker or an author. There's a lot of stuff to be doing in your business, isn't there? So why would you want to create a different talk for every time you're in front of a group? I know some of you are thinking, well, maybe somebody out there has already heard me. Maybe they did. So what? Do you think that they have memorized your entire talk? Possibly they need to hear that same information again so that they now take action. So it's not a bad thing to be repeating yourself. A signature talk is a focused presentation and a huge time saver to you as a business owner. Because what's happening is, you're getting in front of groups. Maybe you have a 15-minute opportunity. Maybe you have a half-hour opportunity or a 1-hour opportunity. So what if you created a presentation that was really great for 1 hour, and then you had a shorter version of it for 15 minutes or half an hour? You see how that could help you in time? Also, it gives you this opportunity to be practiced and prepared, which I have mentioned in another video in this series. If you're always changing it up, you're not really practicing the same talk over and over again, and you have this feeling of not being prepared. But if you're giving the same signature talk over and over again, you feel really confident as you stand and deliver it. So a lot of people prepare this kind of a talk, and maybe they use it for a TEDx talk, but maybe they also use a shorter version of it again in a small group that they're talking to, and just makes them feel confident and ready to go because they've practiced it and they prepared it in advance. They've done it before. Now, the right signature talk also can be a great reflection of your brand. You can be talking about, the things that are important that you like to share as a professional in your industry. So the signature talk can really reflect your brand. It's an opportunity for you to dress in your brand colors, to stand on that stage and to deliver it, in maybe using some of the branding and the logos on screen behind you. So this is an opportunity for you to reflect your brand, and you should, use that opportunity as much as you possibly can. The signature talk is also versatile and adaptable. And that means that if you're in front of an audience that maybe is different or a little bit outside of the regular audience. For example, I speak in front of women's groups, but I don't always speak in front of women's groups. Most of the time I'm speaking in front of men and women. But if I were speaking to a women's group only, I might share, a different story to the women's group. If I had to talk in front of youth, I might share, a story from my youth or talk about something that happened with one of my, kids that are in their early 20s, rather than talk about things that happened back, 100 years ago when I got off the ark, right? They might relate more to those stories. So the signature talk could be put together, but maybe I adapt the stories just a little bit to be in front of the audience that I'm in front of. I also might want to adapt my ask, and I'm going to share a little bit more about the one ask in a minute, but maybe the one thing that I ask for in those groups might differ. On some groups that I talk to, I might just say, hey, this is our YouTube channel, CIBN TV. Go to that right now on your phone. I'll wait. little bit of silence is good in a talk, especially if you want people to do something. And as I wait, I say, bring up the YouTube channel, go to CIBN TV, click on subscribe right now, and I'll wait. And maybe that's the thing that I want them to do. I just want them to subscribe to my channel. And in some situations, maybe with large audiences, or maybe with an audience that, is a little outside of my scope, I don't want to pitch them an offer right now, or maybe I don't have enough time to really discuss the offer. That can be a really simple one ask. So I'll come back to the one ask in a minute here. The signature talk is also a tool for impact. You can use it over and over and over again, and people get used to, knowing that that's what you talk about, that's your subject, that's the thing that draws people. That's how people feel engaged, is when you give this talk about this thing, the passion, the cause, the beginning, the change, the transformation, whatever your talk is, okay? But you want to get known for that signature talk. It's really, really helpful. You can establish your expertise with a signature talk as well. Because in a signature talk, it's a really great idea to go back and say, this is who I am. This is where I came from. Kind of give some reference of how you got started. And then people get to know what your reputation is. Your experience and your wisdom flows through because of the signature talk, and it's a great opportunity, to share who you are, where you came from, and why you are the expert in this topic, whatever your expertise is in. Now, another reason that you want to have a great signature talk is you want to attract the clients or possibly the opportunities that are ideal for you, okay? And they aren't the same for everybody. I run a business, and oftentimes I want to lead up to an offer, and I want to create this great talk, and a signature talk may end in certain circumstances with a different offer than it did last time, because it's more relevant than what was happening 2 years ago. It might be a different offer today than it was then, but I want to lead to this offer. And so maybe I'm using it to attract clients to my offer, right? It's a great reason to have a signature talk. But, I also see that there are speakers and authors out there, and really what they want is more speaking gigs. And so the signature talk, may just have a profound ending that causes people to go, ooh. And why would we want to do that? Well, because we're really looking for more speaking opportunities. And maybe we want to take them on a transformative journey, or we want something to happen. We want an emotion to be felt, because of the talk. And oftentimes the stories that we tell can cause that. If we have a profound story, a story that causes people to really sit up and take notice, or to have an emotional response, those things can create more opportunities for us to speak in the future. And maybe that's the takeaway we want to leave them with. Now, today I'm talking about one talk and one ask, and I want to just be really clear that no matter what your signature talk is, and even in marketing, if you have emails going out, this is the same thing. Or even if you're doing an infomercial in front of a group of people and saying, this is who I am, this is what I want you to do. In any of those situations, we want to have one ask. This is incredibly important. I'm going to share with you a little story of my own here just recently from a marketing campaign that I've run. I'm a professional marketer. I've been doing it for years. Got lots of email lists to send to. Done lots of different, things over the years. We've done webinars, I've done Facebook advertising, we've done all these different things. It's so important in each one of these things that it all funnels down to one ask. And a signature talk is no different, okay? Well, what do I mean by this? I mean, you can't ask for even two things, all right? Because if you do, it's like 1 minus 1 equals 0, okay? The results are dramatically different if you ask for two things. I'll give you an example from a marketing campaign that I recently ran, and I don't know why I asked for two things. Honestly, it's like I lost my mind for a minute. I know better, okay? So I had this opportunity to send out a message and I could only send out one. And I had two things that were coming up. And so the brain kicks in with its good ideas that are not necessarily great ideas, just what we think are good ideas. And I go, well, I got these two things. I had a women's summit coming up and I had this survey coming up for speakers. And so I talked myself into doing something incredibly stupid. I knew more. I knew better. I've been around a long time. But instead of listening to the inner voice of wisdom, my good idea won out. So I create a message and I say, you could, sign up to come to my women's summit. Here's the link. Or you could take my survey. And this went out to about 1,500 people. And I've sent to this list many times in the past. And I know what the numbers are. I actually know that if I sent the message asking people to come to a summit, any kind of summit through that list, probably half the list is men too. So even though I would send it to half women and half men and it was for women only, our previous experience with that list was that 22 people signed up the last time I asked for one thing. Okay? So guess what happened this time? You would think, oh, you get half. No, that's not what happens when you ask for two things. You get a small percentage of what you would have gotten if you had asked for one thing. Okay? So what happened was I asked for the two things and I had 2 people signed up for the summit instead of 22. 2. That's disgusting. Okay? That's like 10%. It's awful. That's just a small list, but it gives you a really dramatic example, right? And I had 2 people sign up for the survey. So 4 instead of 22. That's horrible marketing and a horrible idea. Told me, don't listen to the silly little voice in my head, okay? That was a bad decision. I should have went with what I know is tried and true in marketing. I should have put one thing down. I should have picked what's most important to me, get them to do the thing. Don't ask for anything else in that message. Well, a signature talk is the same way, and I see it all the time. People, whether they're giving a 30-second infomercial, or whether they are giving a 15-minute talk, a half-hour talk, or a 1-hour talk, all of these are more effective if you're leading to one ask, one thing. So what's the one thing you really, really want people to do? Okay, and if I were talking to a group of young people, which is not my target market, and I just wanted them to do something that might add up something for us later, I might ask them to go to the YouTube channel, CIBN TV, and hit the subscribe button now. Because they're not really my target market, but we can always use more subscriptions on the YouTube channel. And, that causes, some online activity. It makes the algorithm happy for YouTube. So that might be the ask in that scenario. In another situation, maybe I'm in front of a large group, like thousands of people who are business owners primarily. If I were in front of my target group, but maybe I have only a 15-minute talk, I would probably want to give them something simple that every one of them would want. I might say, hey, I got this great list of things to do to build an email list, and you can have it right now if you click this simple link. And I create a simple short link that I can just say verbally or can bring up on the screen. It's really simple and easy. And I ask them to do the one thing. Now, why would I go with a simple thing? Because I had a 15-minute presentation. And in 15 minutes, I don't have enough time to actually get them to buy my $2,000 program or my $1,000 program. They don't know me or trust me enough in 15 minutes. But if I could give them something that they would want, and a link that's easy for them to go to, or a QR code that comes up, it's really easy, I might get thousands of them to suddenly opt in to get the thing, and now they'd be on my email list. I would be able to create a nurture sequence or even bring them into a special that I was offering, because they are an ideal candidate for me. But I didn't have a lot of time to win them over in 15 minutes. Does that make sense? If I had half hour, I might try something a little bit more complex, okay? But I think in half hour, I probably would do the same thing. I would just get them onto my list if I could. I'd want to start the relationship. I want to be able to move forward with them in the future, you know? So really it would be about take the download and get them onto the list. Now, if I have an hour, or 90 minutes is even more ideal. If I have 90 minutes, it's fabulous, because in 90 minutes, I can actually spend an hour talking about all of the things and all the reasons of why they would want to be with me. The signature talk could be given with my background and my expertise, winning them over. They're spending time with me because it's an hour and a half, right? 90 minutes. And then in the last 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes, I would be able to give my offer in great detail. And I'd be able to share, the advantages of taking the offer. I'd be able to share testimonies who took the offer before and what the transformation story was when they took that offer. You see, the 90-minute one is awesome because I got to do the whole signature talk and I got to give a great offer because I had time for the offer. You see, if I don't have time for the offer, I really can't sell, especially something, even $500 plus. I don't have the opportunity to really do that unless I have at least an hour talk, okay? And 90 minutes is more ideal because I didn't get to give them all the details, didn't get to win them over, and I didn't get to really talk about the offer. You see, if I don't give the offer the time that it deserves, nobody's buying it. If I don't get to explain it, if I don't get to share testimonies and stories, nobody's buying it. That's why 90-minute webinars really work well, because you have the whole opportunity to give the whole signature talk and you get a half hour to talk about whatever your offer is, okay? But it all still comes down to them being asked for one thing. And that would, in that case, it would be my offer, the one thing, right? If I only had an hour to do it, then I have to spend 15 to 20 minutes at least on the offer. So the signature talk is going to be, about 40 minutes. And I have to give time for the offer. And I've got to go into one ask. I would never ask them to do two things. I would never say, hey, you know what? You can sign up for my newsletter here, right? Or you can buy my offer. Nobody's buying your offer as soon as you offer two things. It's just not happening. You won't get them on your newsletter list either. So it was a total waste of time. Whatever it is that you're talking about, okay? You want to lead to a nice one ask. And it's best that if you are doing the ask that you have a nice short link that's easy for them to follow, that you can even say, ramble off your tongue. I mean, you want to shorten the link, and if your website, like on my website, I have several of them, but one of them is kerrygeorge.com, okay? If you want to know about my book, I would say kerrygeorge.com/book. That's an easy one, right? I could easily say that if that was my one ask. But if my website was something that was long and convoluted, okay, that wouldn't work so well, would it? Because I can't just ramble it off and have people remember what it is, especially if it's got numbers, digits, things in it, or I shortened it or changed the spelling. It makes it really hard to just ramble off. And so if you do have a long kind of convoluted website URL that you're working with, or perhaps you're using a landing page that has something like lead.app./this, 2 words, oh my God, take forever to say this thing. That's not going to cut it for the talk, okay? Because it's too hard. People can't see it. Even if I could bring it up on the screen, I mean, I have all kinds of stuff on the screen I can just bring up. I can go back into my banner section on this and I can say, hey, I think that you should, Let me just see here. Let's see what I got. Well, I'm going to use the YouTube one. Okay, I'll just show it to you right here. It's going to come across the screen. Okay, look up CIBN TV on YouTube, right? Or I might say, here's my email address, and I've got it right on the banner like that. Nice and easy for you to just grab it like that. Okay. I could actually put a link that's on here and say, hey, go here and check out this link. Okay. Sounds great. But the more long and convoluted it is, you're still not going to likely stop the video and go dial it in. You can't copy and paste it off the screen. So it makes it difficult. You'd have to look at it and type it out. So the easier the link is, the better your one ask is going to be. And if you had to create it in a landing page, it might be a good idea to go to Canva or Bitly or something and create a short link. Something like, even if you go bitly.com, bit.ly, .com/ and then one word, one thing for the one ask, just one thing, whatever it is, something simple. That is something that could be repeated on a podcast. And then if people are only listening, they would be able to quickly jot it down, or they might be able to remember it after the podcast, especially if you repeated it more than once. That one ask would drive them to action, particularly if you kept making the ask over and over again through the presentation. And when I'm doing simple things or even difficult things, I try to get into where the button would be to do this thing as soon as I can. Okay. So if I'm wanting lots of people to sign up for YouTube, then I'm going to tell them about CIBN TV several times as I talk. And I'm even going to pause and stop at some point and say, go there now, click through, right? I'll wait. I let it be silent while I say that. Okay? Because people are drawn to action in the silence. Don't be afraid of silence. It's your friend. Okay? But if I was actually trying to get them to go buy something, the same thing, I want to make that link easy. I want to make it accessible. I want to make it memorable. And it's the only thing that I want to talk about in the entire talk. So whatever it is, when you're in front of a crowd of people, you get to ask them to do one thing. And if you ask for that thing effectively, it is going to work out very, very well for you. Okay? So just remember that. One talk, one ask. Okay? Check out some of the other videos in this series and definitely subscribe so that you can watch more of this on CIBN TV. You're going to notice that we have everything in playlists. This is the speakers playlist. So you want to find out more about how to speak, you want to watch that playlist, CIBN TV. Talk to you soon. Bye.